I've spent 80 years trying to figure out what was going through that boy's mind. He couldn't have been more than 19, maybe 20, sitting there in that bell tower with a Mauser pointed right at my heart. I was out in the open, no cover, just me and a dying boy from Ohio draped over my back. I was a sitting duck, a perfect target. My boots were slipping on the wet cobblestones, and the weight of Jerry was pulling me down, making every step feel like I was walking through deep mud. I could feel the heat of his blood soaking through my jacket, and I remember thinking, this is it. This is how Henry Lawson ends. In a nameless village in France, carrying a friend who's already halfway to the other side. I looked up just for a second, and I saw the glint of the sun off the scope. I saw the silhouette of the helmet. He had me. He had the shot. And then he didn't take it. He just sat there. I saw the barrel of that rifle slowly tip downward, pointing at the ground. I didn't stop to wonder why then. I just ran. But for 8 decades, that moment has played on a loop in my head. I've lived a whole life, married a good woman, raised 3 kids, retired from the postal service, all because a ghost in a gray uniform decided I should. I don't tell these stories often. My kids, they know I was in the war, but they don't know the sounds. They don't know the way the air tasted after an artillery barrage, like sulfur and chewed up earth. You see, when you're 92, the present starts to get a little fuzzy, but the past is sharp as a bayonet. I can tell you what I had for breakfast today. Toast, I think. But I can tell you the exact shade of green the hedgerows were in Normandy when we first pushed through. I grew up in a small town in Indiana, a place where nothing ever happened, and we liked it that way. My father worked the fields, and I expected I'd do the same. Then the news came about Pearl Harbor, and everything changed. We were just kids, really. We didn't know what we were signing up for. We thought it was an adventure. We thought we were going to be heroes like the ones in the Saturday matinees. We didn't know about the cold. Nobody tells you about how the cold gets into your bones and just stays there, even 80 years later. Sometimes I feel a chill, and I'm right back in a foxhole outside of Bastogne. The boat ride over was miserable. Thousands of us packed into those ships like cattle. The smell of diesel and vomit is something you never quite get out of your nose. I remember looking at the guys in my platoon. We were all trying to look tough, smoking cigarettes, talking about what we'd do when we got to Paris. Jerry was the loudest, Jerry Miller. He was from a little town in Ohio, not too different from mine. He had this laugh that sounded like a rusty gate swinging in the wind. He'd tell us about his girl back home, Sarah, and how he was going to buy a Buick the second he got his discharge papers. You make friends fast when you're scared. You latch on to people because they're the only thing that's familiar in a world that's turned upside down. We landed a few days after the initial invasion. The beach was a mess. You've seen the movies, I suppose, but they can't capture the scale of the wreckage. It wasn't just the machines. It was the bits and pieces of lives scattered everywhere. A lone boot, a waterlogged letter, a helmet with a hole in it. We didn't talk much as we moved inland. The reality hit us pretty quick. This wasn't a movie. If you're still listening to my story, I'd appreciate if you'd hit that like button and subscribe. It means these memories won't be forgotten. The hedgerows were the worst part at first. You couldn't see 5 feet in front of you. Every corner, every thicket of brush could have a machine gun nest waiting. We spent weeks just crawling through the mud, taking one field at a time, losing men for the sake of a few hundred yards of dirt. I remember the first time I saw a German soldier, not through a scope or from a distance, but real close. He was dead, lying in a ditch. He looked just like us. Same age, same look of surprise on his face. I saw a picture of a woman tucked into his belt. I didn't pick it up. I didn't want to know his name. If I knew his name, he'd be a person. And you couldn't afford to think of them as people back then. You had to think of them as the enemy, the Krauts, the Jerrys. If you started thinking about their mothers or their sweethearts, you wouldn't be able to pull the trigger when the time came. And the time always came. We moved into that village. I think the map called it Beaumont or something like it, in late July. It was one of those places that probably looked real pretty in the spring, but by the time we got there, it was just a skeleton of a town. The roof of the church had been blown out, and the houses were just piles of stone. We were told to clear it out. My squad was moving down the main street, sticking close to the walls. It was quiet. Too quiet. You learn to hate the quiet. The quiet is when they're watching you. The quiet is when the trap is set. Jerry was a few paces ahead of me. He turned back to say something, probably a joke, and that's when the first shot rang out. It wasn't loud. It sounded like a dry branch snapping. But Jerry went down like he'd been hit by a sledgehammer. I didn't think. You don't have time to think. I just dived into a doorway, my heart hammering against my ribs so hard I thought it would break. I looked out and saw Jerry lying in the middle of the street. He was clutching his stomach, his legs kicking out instinctively. The sniper was good. He hadn't killed him instantly, he'd winged him. That's an old trick, you know. You hit one man so his buddies come out to save him, and then you pick them off one by one. My sergeant was screaming at me to stay put, but I couldn't just watch Jerry bleed out. We'd shared our last tin of peaches that morning. We'd talked about the Buick. I looked at the sergeant and I looked at Jerry, and I just went. I ran out into that street and the world seemed to slow down. I could hear my own breathing, loud and ragged. I grabbed Jerry by the harness and started pulling. He was heavy, heavier than he had any right to be. He was moaning, a low, wet sound that I can still hear if I sit in a quiet room for too long. I got him up over my shoulder, the way they taught us in training, and that's when I saw the sniper. He was in the church tower, maybe 60 yards away. The sun hit the glass of his scope, and for a split second, our eyes met. I couldn't see the color of his eyes, but I saw the tilt of his head. He had me cold. I stopped. I don't know why I stopped. I guess I just accepted it. I stood there in the middle of that French street, holding my best friend, waiting for the bullet that would put me in the ground next to him. If you're still listening to my story, I'd appreciate if you'd hit that like button and subscribe. It means these memories won't be forgotten. He didn't fire. The seconds ticked by, and they felt like hours. I saw the muzzle of the rifle rise up, then slowly dip. The man in the tower just sat there. Maybe he saw how young I was. Maybe he saw Jerry's face. Or maybe he was just tired of the killing. Whatever it was, he gave me those 10 seconds. I didn't wait for an 11th. I hauled Jerry behind a stone wall just as the rest of the squad started laying down cover fire. We got Jerry to the medics, but he didn't make it. The wound was too deep. He died 2 hours later in a field hospital. People ask me if I'm angry at that sniper for killing my friend, but it's a strange thing. War. I'm not. He was doing his job, and I was doing mine, but I'm grateful to him for the life I got to have. I often wonder if he survived the war. I wonder if he went home to Germany and got married and had kids who never knew what their father did in that church tower. After Jerry died, something in me went cold. You have to go cold to survive. We pushed on through France, into the Ardennes. The winter of '44 was the coldest I've ever been. We were in the woods, digging into the frozen ground with entrenching tools that barely made a dent. We didn't have the right gear. Our boots were soaked through, and men were losing toes to frostbite. We'd sit in those holes, listening to the Germans talking in the distance. They were just as cold as we were. Sometimes, in the middle of the night, someone would start singing a Christmas carol in German, and we'd just listen. For a few minutes, the war would stop. You'd remember that the guy on the other side of the tree line was probably just as miserable and scared as you were. But then the sun would come up, and the shells would start falling again, and you'd go back to being soldiers. I remember a night in December, just before the big German push. It was so dark you couldn't see your hand in front of your face. I was on sentry duty, shivering so hard my teeth were clicking. I heard a rustle in the brush. I leveled my rifle, my finger on the trigger. A figure stepped out. It was a kid. Couldn't have been more than 15. A Volkssturm, probably. He was wearing a coat that was 3 sizes too big for him. He looked at me, and his eyes were wide with terror. He dropped his rifle and held up his hands. He wasn't a soldier. He was a child. I should have taken him prisoner, or worse. That's what the manual said. But I thought about that sniper in the church tower. I thought about the 10 seconds he gave me. I just pointed my rifle back toward the German lines and hissed at him to go. He didn't need to be told twice. He vanished into the woods. I never told my sergeant. I just went back to my hole and waited for morning. If you're still listening to my story, I'd appreciate if you'd hit that like button and subscribe. It means these memories won't be forgotten. When the Battle of the Bulge really kicked off, it was chaos. The Germans came out of the fog like ghosts. We were being pushed back, retreating through the snow, leaving everything behind. I remember seeing a line of our tanks, completely burned out, the crews still inside. That stays with you. You try to look away, but you can't. We were cut off for 3 days without food. We ate snow to keep our mouths wet. I shared a foxhole with a kid named Cooper from Georgia. He was a talker. He'd talk about his mom's peach cobbler until I wanted to scream. But that talking kept us awake. If you fell asleep in that cold, you didn't always wake up. We took turns slapping each other's faces to keep the blood moving. Cooper didn't make it through the spring. He stepped on a bouncing Betty mine during the push into Germany. It's funny the things you remember. I don't remember Cooper's face as well as I used to, but I can still tell you exactly how he described that peach cobbler. By the time we crossed the Rhine, we were different men. We weren't the boys who'd climbed onto those ships in New York. We were thin, we were tired, and we had a look in our eyes that they call the 1,000-yard stare. You stop feeling things. You see a house burn down, and you don't feel bad for the people who lived there. You just think, at least it's warm for a minute. It's a terrible way to be, but it's the only way to get to the end. I saw things in Germany that I still don't talk about. We came across a sub-camp near the end. I don't have the words for it. I don't think anyone does. We'd seen death every day for months, but this was different. This was a factory for it. We gave the survivors our rations, but we were told to be careful because their bodies couldn't handle the rich food. I remember one man, he couldn't have weighed more than 80 pounds, grabbing my hand and just weeping. He didn't say a word. He didn't have to. The day the war ended, we were in a small German town. The news came over the radio, and we didn't even cheer. We just sat there on the curb. Someone found a bottle of schnapps, and we passed it around. It didn't feel like a victory. It just felt like a relief, like a heavy weight had finally been lifted off our chests. I went home a few months later. The train ride back to Indiana was the longest of my life. I kept looking out the window, expecting to see a ruined building or a burnt-out tank, but it was just miles and miles of golden corn. My mother cried when she saw me. My father just shook my hand and looked me in the eye. He knew. He'd been in the first one. He never asked me what I saw, and I never offered to tell him. If you're still listening to my story, I'd appreciate if you'd hit that like button and subscribe. It means these memories won't be forgotten. Adjusting to civilian life was harder than the war in some ways. In the war, everything was simple. You had a job to do and you had the men next to you. In the world, everything was complicated. People worried about things that didn't matter. They'd get upset if the coffee was cold or if the mail was late. I wanted to shake them. I wanted to tell them, you're alive, you're warm. What else do you need? I married Mary in 1947. She was the one who got me through the nights. For years, I'd wake up screaming, thinking I was back in that village, thinking the sniper had finally pulled the trigger. She'd just hold me until the shaking stopped. She never pushed me to talk. She just waited. I've had a good life, all things considered. I've seen my grandkids graduate college. I've seen the world change in ways I never thought possible. But every year, on the anniversary of that day in Beaumont, I sit out on my porch and I think about that German boy. I think about the mercy he showed me. In the middle of all that hate and all that blood, he chose to be human for 10 seconds. He gave me 80 years. I've tried to live them well. I've tried to be a man worth saving. I don't know if I've succeeded, but I've tried. I'm 92 now. Most of the guys from my platoon are gone. Jerry, Cooper, the sergeant, they're all waiting for me on the other side. I'm not afraid to go. When you've seen what I've seen, death doesn't seem like an enemy anymore. It just seems like a rest. But before I go, I wanted to tell this. I wanted people to know that even in the darkest places, there's a little bit of light. Sometimes it's just a sniper lowering his rifle. Sometimes it's a soldier letting a kid run back to his lines. If you're still listening to my story, I'd appreciate if you'd hit that like button and subscribe. It means these memories won't be forgotten. I remember once, about 20 years ago, I went back to France. My daughter took me. We went to that village. It looked different, of course. Everything was rebuilt. There were flowers in the windows and kids playing in the street. I stood in the spot where Jerry fell. The cobblestones were gone, replaced by asphalt. I looked up at the church tower. It was still there, the stone weathered and gray. I walked up the stairs, my old knees complaining with every step. I stood where that sniper must have stood. I looked out over the town. From up there, everything looked so small. You could see the whole world. I wondered what he saw when he looked through that scope. Did he see an enemy? Or did he just see a tired boy trying to save his friend? I'll never know. But I left a small flower on the ledge of that tower. Not for the sniper, and not for the war, but for the moment of peace he gave me. People ask me why I'm telling this now. Why wait until I'm nearly a century old? I guess it's because the world feels like it's getting loud again. People are starting to forget what it really costs to hate each other. They see the maps and the numbers, but they don't see the faces. They don't see the kid from Ohio who never got his Buick. They don't see the German boy who had to live with what he'd done. I'm one of the last ones left who can tell you that there are no winners in a war. There are only survivors and ghosts. And if we don't remember the ghosts, they died for nothing. My memory isn't what it used to be. I lose my keys. I forget names. But I can still feel the weight of Jerry on my shoulder. I can still see that glint of sun on the scope. I hope that when I finally meet that sniper again, wherever we're going, I can shake his hand. I think we'd have a lot to talk about. Not about the war, but about the lives we lived after. About the things we saw that were beautiful. About the way the sun looks when it's setting over a peaceful field. That's what matters. Not the killing, the living. If you're still listening to my story, I'd appreciate if you'd hit that like button and subscribe. It means these memories won't be forgotten. I think back to the training camps in Georgia. We were so green. We'd practice with wooden rifles because we didn't have enough real ones to go around. We'd march until our feet bled, and we thought we were the toughest things on God's green earth. I remember a drill sergeant, a man with a voice like gravel, telling us that our best friend wasn't the man next to us, but the rifle in our hands. He was wrong. The rifle is just a tool. The man next to you, he's everything. When the shells are falling and the world is exploding, that rifle won't hold your hand. That rifle won't tell you it's going to be okay. It's the men. It's the shared cigarettes, the whispered stories in the dark, the way you'd huddle together for warmth. That's what gets you through. There was a time, near the end, when we were moving through a forest in Germany. It was late afternoon, and the light was filtering through the trees in long, golden shafts. It was beautiful. For a second, I forgot where I was. I stopped walking and just looked at the way the light hit the pine needles. Then I heard the whistle of an incoming shell, and the world turned black and red. You never get to keep the beauty for long. It's always borrowed. I think that's why I appreciate it so much now. A bird singing in the garden, the taste of a fresh peach, the sound of my great-grandkids laughing. I don't take any of it for granted. I know how fast it can go. I know how thin the line is between being here and being gone. I've carried that German boy's face in my mind for 80 years. I don't even know what he looked like, really, but I've built a face for him. He has a scar on his chin and a worried look in his eyes. He's my brother, in a way. He's the reason I have a family. He's the reason I'm sitting here. I'd like to think that he found some peace, too. I'd like to think that he realized, in that moment, that we were more alike than we were different. We were just two kids caught in a storm we didn't start. If you're still listening to my story, I'd appreciate if you'd hit that like button and subscribe. It means these memories won't be forgotten. The medals I have, they're in a box in the attic. My grandson wanted to take them to show and tell once, and I let him. But to me, they're just pieces of metal. They don't tell the story. They don't tell you about the night we spent in a cellar in Belgium, drinking old wine and pretending we were back home. They don't tell you about the letter I had to write to Jerry's mother. That was the hardest thing I've ever done. I sat in a muddy tent for 3 hours, trying to find the words. How do you tell a mother that her son is gone? How do you tell her he died because he was a good man? I told her he didn't suffer. It was a lie, but it was a kind one. Sometimes a lie is the only mercy you have left to give. I don't know if I'll ever understand why that boy didn't shoot. Maybe it was a miracle. Maybe it was just luck. Or maybe, just maybe, he was human. People forget that even in a war, people are human. We're taught to hate, we're taught to kill. But deep down, most of us just want to go home. We just want to be with the people we love. That sniper, he chose to let me go home. He chose to let me have a life. And for that, I'll be grateful until the day I take my last breath. If you're still listening to my story, I'd appreciate if you'd hit that like button and subscribe. It means these memories won't be forgotten. I remember the smell of the English countryside before we crossed the channel. It was so peaceful. The rolling hills, the sheep, the little stone cottages. It felt like a different world. We'd go into the local pubs, and the people would treat us like royalty. They didn't have much, but they'd share whatever they had. I met a girl there, a girl named Betty. She had red hair and a laugh that made you forget there was a war on. We went for a walk one evening, and she told me she was scared. Not of the bombs, but of what would happen after. She said the world would never be the same. She was right. We weren't just fighting for a victory. We were fighting for a world that was already gone. When we finally crossed that water, we left a part of ourselves on those English shores. We became soldiers. And once you're a soldier, you never really stop being one. I think about the equipment we had. The heavy wool coats that got soaked and never dried. The M1 Garand that would ping when it was empty, telling the enemy you were vulnerable. The K rations that tasted like cardboard and salt. You learned to make do. You learned to fix things with wire and grit. I remember one guy, a fellow named Stoker, who could fix anything. He'd take a broken radio and have it working in 10 minutes with nothing but a pocket knife. He was a wizard. Stoker didn't make it to Germany. He got hit by shrapnel during a mortar attack. We lost so many good ones. Men who could have been doctors or teachers or builders. The war took them all and left us with the pieces. It's a heavy thing to carry, being the one who got to come home when so many didn't. You feel a kind of guilt, even if you know it wasn't your fault. If you're still listening to my story, I'd appreciate if you'd hit that like button and subscribe. It means these memories won't be forgotten. I remember a dog we found in France, a little terrier, scrawny and terrified. We named him Sarge and shared our rations with him. For a few weeks, he was our mascot. He'd sleep in our foxholes, and his warmth was the best thing in the world. He'd bark whenever he heard an engine, giving us a head start. One day during a move, he just vanished. We looked for him, but we had orders to move. I still think about that dog. I hope he found a family. I hope he outlived the war. It's strange, the things that stick with you. I can forget the face of a general, but I'll never forget the way that dog looked at us. He didn't care about the war. He just cared that we were there. When we finally got into Germany, the mood changed. It wasn't about liberating people anymore. It was about ending it. The German civilians, they looked at us with a mix of fear and hatred. They'd lost everything too. I remember seeing an old woman standing in the ruins of her house, holding a broken clock. She wasn't crying, she was just staring. I wanted to tell her I was sorry, but I didn't have the words in her language. And besides, what good would an apology do? The war was a machine, and we were all just cogs in it. You do what you're told, you go where you're sent, and you try to keep your soul intact. It's not always easy. If you're still listening to my story, I'd appreciate if you'd hit that like button and subscribe. It means these memories won't be forgotten. I remember the first night back in Indiana. It was so quiet. No shells, no shouting, no engines. I lay in my old bed, the same one I'd had since I was a boy, and I couldn't sleep. The silence was deafening. I kept waiting for the thump of a mortar. I kept checking the shadows in the corner of the room. It took a long time to realize that the war was over. I'd walk down to the diner and people would thank me for my service, and I'd just nod. I didn't know how to tell them that I didn't feel like a hero. I felt like a ghost. I felt like I'd left the real Henry Lawson back in a ditch in France, and the man who came home was just a copy. But Mary, she saw through it. She looked at me not as a soldier, but as a man. She's the reason I'm still here. I'm 92, and my eyes aren't what they used to be. But when I close them, I can still see the faces. Not just the American faces, but the German ones too. The boy in the church tower, the kid in the woods, the old woman with the clock. We're all part of the same story. A story about a world that went mad for a few years, and the people who tried to survive it. I hope we never see a time like that again. I hope my great-grandchildren never have to know the sound of a shell or the smell of a battlefield. But I also hope they never forget, because if we forget, we're doomed to do it all over again. If you're still listening to my story, I'd appreciate if you'd hit that like button and subscribe. It means these memories won't be forgotten. I recall a specific moment during the push through the Siegfried Line. We were pinned down in a concrete bunker, and the noise was like being inside a bell that was being struck by a giant. The vibration went through your teeth, into your skull. I looked at a boy next to me. I can't remember his name. Maybe it was Thompson. And he was just shaking. He wasn't crying. He was just vibrating. I reached out and put my hand on his shoulder. I didn't say anything. I just held him. He looked at me, and for a second, the fear vanished. We were just two people in a box, waiting for the end. We made it out of that bunker, but I think about that boy. I hope he found someone to hold his hand when the world got loud again. That's what we all need, isn't it? Just someone to let us know we're not alone. The thing about age is that it gives you a perspective you can't have when you're young. When I was 20, I thought the world was black and white, good guys and bad guys. Now I see the gray. I see that everyone has a story, and everyone has a reason for what they do. That sniper had a reason. He chose mercy. He chose to see me as a person. In a world that was trying its best to turn us into monsters, he chose to stay human. I've tried to do the same. It hasn't always been easy, and I've made my share of mistakes, but I've tried. If you're still listening to my story, I'd appreciate if you'd hit that like button and subscribe. It means these memories won't be forgotten. I remember the day I got my discharge papers. It was a sunny day and the air was crisp. I walked out of that gate and didn't look back. I wanted to leave it all behind. I wanted to forget the mud and the blood and the cold. But you can't leave it. It's part of you. It's in the way you walk, the way you talk, the way you look at the world. I've carried the war for 80 years, and it's been a heavy load. But it's also been a gift. It's made me appreciate every morning, every meal, every breath. It's made me realize that life is a precious thing, and it can be taken away in a second. So you have to make the most of it. You have to love the people you have, and you have to be kind when you can. I'm tired now. My story is almost done. I don't have much left to say, but I want to thank you for listening. It's a comfort to know that these memories are being shared. It's a comfort to know that Jerry and Cooper and the boy in the tower won't be forgotten. As long as someone is listening, they're still alive in a way, and that's enough for me. If you're still listening to my story, I'd appreciate if you'd hit that like button and subscribe. It means these memories won't be forgotten. I remember when I first started talking about this. It was years after Mary passed. I was sitting in a park, and a young man in a uniform sat down next to me. He looked like I did back then, eyes full of things he couldn't put into words. We didn't talk about the war, not at first. We talked about the weather, about the birds. Then he asked me if I'd been in. I told him I had. He asked me if it ever goes away. I told him no, but it gets quieter. You learn to live with the ghosts. You learn to give them a seat at the table. He nodded, and I think he understood. We're a fraternity, we veterans. We speak a language that doesn't have words. Sometimes I think about that Buick Jerry wanted. I wonder what color it would have been. I like to think it would have been blue, a bright, shiny blue that would have looked real sharp in the Ohio sun. I hope Sarah found someone good. I hope she lived a long life. I never reached out to her. I didn't want to bring back the pain, but I think about her sometimes. I think about all the lives that were changed by a single bullet or by the absence of one. It's a strange thing how interconnected we all are. One decision in a church tower in France ripples out across 80 years and thousands of miles. If you're still listening to my story, I'd appreciate if you'd hit that like button and subscribe. It means these memories won't be forgotten. I remember the first time I saw the ocean after the war. It was so big and so blue. It didn't look like a battlefield, it just looked like forever. I stood on the shore and let the water wash over my feet. I felt clean for the first time in years. I realized then that the world is bigger than any war. The mountains, the oceans, the stars, they don't care about our borders or our ideologies. They've been here long before us, and they'll be here long after we're gone. We're just passing through. We might as well try to be decent to each other while we're here. I've often thought about writing a book, but I'm not much of a writer. I'm just a man who remembers. I remember the taste of the rain in the hedgerows. I remember the sound of the tanks on the cobblestones. I remember the way the air felt when the guns finally stopped. It was a hollow sound, like the world had held its breath and was finally letting it out. That silence was the most beautiful thing I've ever heard. If you're still listening to my story, I'd appreciate if you'd hit that like button and subscribe. It means these memories won't be forgotten. I'm sitting in my chair now, watching the sun go down. It's a peaceful evening. The trees are still, and the birds are quiet. I think about that boy in the tower one last time. I don't know why he did what he did. I'll never know. But I'm glad he did it. I'm glad I got to see my children grow up. I'm glad I got to love Mary. I'm glad I got to be here. And maybe, in the end, that's all that matters. Not the why, but the fact that it happened. I've had a long run. 92 years is a lot of life. I've seen the best of us and the worst of us. I've seen what happens when we let hate take over, and I've seen what happens when we choose mercy. My advice, for whatever it's worth, is to choose mercy. Every time. It's the only thing that saves us. It's the only thing that makes the journey worth it. If you're still listening to my story, I'd appreciate if you'd hit that like button and subscribe. It means these memories won't be forgotten. I remember the smell of the damp earth in France after a spring rain. It was a rich, heavy smell, full of life. It's the same smell as the fields in Indiana. It reminded me that no matter where you are, the earth is the same. We fight over it, we die for it, but in the end, it just takes us back. We're all made of the same dust. I've walked on a lot of that dust in my time. I've seen it kicked up by boots and by wheels. I've seen it stained red, but I've also seen it grow gardens. I've seen it support the foundations of homes. I think about the courage it took for that sniper to not shoot. We talk a lot about the courage it takes to fight, but we don't talk enough about the courage it takes to stop. to look at an enemy and see a person. That's a harder kind of courage. It's a courage that doesn't get medals. It's a courage that happens in the quiet moments, in the split seconds between a trigger pull and a breath. I hope the world has more of that kind of courage in the future. We're going to need it. If you're still listening to my story, I'd appreciate if you'd hit that like button and subscribe. It means these memories won't be forgotten. I remember a young medic I saw once. He was barely out of high school, and he was trying to save a man who was clearly beyond help. He was crying as he worked, his hands covered in grime. He didn't stop until someone pulled him away. That's the kind of spirit I remember. People trying to heal in a place that was built for breaking. It's a miracle, really, that anyone comes out of a war with their heart intact. But some do. Some find a way to keep that spark alive. I'm ready to close my eyes now. It's been a long day, and an even longer life. I'm grateful for the time I've had. I'm grateful for the people who walked beside me. And I'm grateful to you for listening to an old man's memories. Don't let them fade. Keep them close. They're all we have left of a world that tried to burn itself down and somehow survived. If you're still listening to my story, I'd appreciate if you'd hit that like button and subscribe. It means these memories won't be forgotten. I think back to the winter of '44, those long dark nights in the foxhole. We used to tell stories to pass the time, not war stories, but stories about home. I'd tell the guys about the county fair, about the way the lights looked at night and the smell of the fried dough. Someone else would talk about a fishing trip or a first date. Those stories were our lifeline. They were the proof that there was a world outside of the mud. I realize now that I'm doing the same thing. I'm telling you these stories to prove that Jerry lived, to prove that the sniper was real, to prove that a moment of mercy can change everything. I've seen a lot of changes in 92 years. I've seen man walk on the moon. I've seen the internet change the way we talk. But people don't change. We still have the same fears, the same hopes, the same capacity for both cruelty and kindness. The technology changes, the uniforms change, but the heart remains the same. I hope you remember that. When you look at someone you disagree with, or someone you think is your enemy, remember that they have a story too. They have someone waiting for them at home. They have a Buick they want to buy. If you're still listening to my story, I'd appreciate if you'd hit that like button and subscribe. It means these memories won't be forgotten. I remember the day I came home. I stepped off the train and the air smelled like Indiana. It was a mix of cut grass and wood smoke. I walked the 2 miles to my house carrying my duffel bag. I didn't call ahead, I just showed up. I saw my father sitting on the porch smoking his pipe. He looked at me and he didn't say a word. He just stood up and held the door open. That was his way. He knew I didn't want a parade, I just wanted to be home. I wanted to sit in a chair that didn't vibrate and sleep in a room that didn't smell like wet wool. It took a long time to feel like I belonged there again, but eventually the shadows receded. The ghosts found their places. I'm 92 and I've lived a full life. I've seen the sun rise over the Atlantic and set over the Pacific. I've loved and I've been loved, and I've never forgotten that I owe it all to a boy in a church tower who decided just for a moment that the war could wait. I don't know why he did it. I'll never know why. But I'm glad I'm the one who gets to tell the story. I'm glad I'm the one who remembers. If you're still listening to my story, I'd appreciate if you'd hit that like button and subscribe. It means these memories won't be forgotten. I remember a time in late April of '45. We were moving through a German forest, and we found a clearing full of wildflowers. It was like a carpet of blue and white. We didn't want to walk on them. We walked around the edges, trying to preserve that little bit of peace. It was a small thing, but it stayed with me. Even after everything we'd seen, we still cared about flowers. We still had that piece of ourselves that recognized beauty. I think that's what the sniper saw in me. He saw that I was trying to save something beautiful, a life, and he decided to let it happen. I've said my piece. My voice is getting weak and the light is fading, but I'm at peace. I've lived the life I was given, and I've tried to be a good steward of it. I've tried to remember the lessons I learned in that ruined village. That life is fragile, that mercy is powerful, and that we're all in this together, whether we like it or not. Thank you for listening. It's meant a lot to me. If you're still listening to my story, I'd appreciate if you'd hit that like button and subscribe. It means these memories won't be forgotten. I'm going to sit here for a while longer, watching the stars come out. They're the same stars that were above the hedgerows in Normandy. They're the same stars that were above the church tower in Beaumont. They've seen it all. They don't judge. they just shine. I like to think that somewhere that German boy is looking at the same stars, and maybe, just maybe, he knows that I'm still here. Maybe he knows that his choice mattered. I hope he does. I really do. Good night, and take care of each other. It's a big, beautiful world, and we're lucky to be in it. Don't waste it. Don't spend it on hate. Spend it on the things that matter. Spend it on the people you love. That's what Jerry would have done. That's what the sniper gave me the chance to do, and that's what I've tried to do every day since. If you're still listening to my story, I'd appreciate if you'd hit that like button and subscribe. It means these memories won't be forgotten. I remember the silence of the snow in the Ardennes. It was a heavy, suffocating kind of silence. It muffled everything. The sound of your own footsteps, the sound of your breath. It made you feel like you were the only person left in the world. But then you'd see a wisp of smoke from a distant fire, or hear the faint sound of a truck engine, and you'd realize that you were part of something huge, a massive, grinding machine of history. It's easy to feel small in a war. It's easy to feel like you don't matter, but that's a lie. Every person matters. Every choice matters. The choice that Sniper made didn't change the outcome of the war, but it changed the outcome of my life. And that's everything. I'm nearly at the end of my road. I can see the horizon, and it looks peaceful. I'm not carrying any regrets. I've shared what I had to share. I've remembered what I had to remember. I hope these words find their way to someone who needs to hear them. I hope they remind you that even when the world feels like it's falling apart, there's still room for kindness. There's still room for mercy. Never forget that. If you're still listening to my story, I'd appreciate if you'd hit that like button and subscribe. It means these memories won't be forgotten. I recall a conversation I had with a chaplain once, just before we crossed into Germany. He was a quiet man, with eyes that seemed to have seen everything. I asked him how God could let all this happen. He didn't give me a canned answer. He just looked at me and said, "God gives us the choice. It's what we do with it that matters." I've thought about that a lot. We had the choice to be cruel, or we had the choice to be kind. Most of the time, we were just trying to survive. But every now and then, we had a real choice. Like that sniper. He had the choice, and he chose life. I'm 92, and I'm ready. The shadows are long now, and the air is cool. I've told my story, and I've kept my promise to the ghosts. They can rest now, and so can I. Thank you again. It's been an honor to share this with you. If you're still listening to my story, I'd appreciate if you'd hit that like button and subscribe. It means these memories won't be forgotten. I remember the first time I held my son. He was so small, so perfect. I looked at his hands, and I thought about the hands I'd seen in the war. Hands that held rifles, hands that were calloused and cold. I vowed then that he would never have to hold a weapon if I could help it. I wanted him to use his hands to build things, to heal things. He became a carpenter. He built houses for people. He used his hands for good. I'm proud of that. I'm proud that the line of violence stopped with me. I'm proud that my children and grandchildren know peace. That's the real victory. I'm closing my eyes now. I can hear the wind in the trees, and it sounds like a lullaby. I can see the faces of the people I've loved. Mary is there, smiling at me. Jerry is there, laughing that rusty gate laugh. And maybe, just maybe, that boy from the tower is there too. I'd like to see him. I'd like to say thank you. If you're still listening to my story, I'd appreciate if you'd hit that like button and subscribe. It means these memories won't be forgotten. I remember a day in Paris, right after it was liberated. The city was alive. People were dancing in the streets, singing, hugging anyone in a uniform. It was overwhelming. I sat at a little cafe, and a woman brought me a glass of wine. She didn't want any money. She just wanted to say thank you. I realized then that what we were doing mattered. It wasn't just about the maps or the politics. It was about people being free to live their lives. That's what we were fighting for. Not for glory, but for a glass of wine in a quiet cafe and a dance in a free street. I've had 92 years of those moments. Glasses of wine, dances, quiet afternoons. I've had them all because of a 10-second pause in a church tower. I hope you find your own moments of peace. I hope you find the courage to be kind. And I hope you never forget that we're all more alike than we are different. If you're still listening to my story, I'd appreciate if you'd hit that like button and subscribe. It means these memories won't be forgotten. I remember the train ride home across the United States. I saw the Rockies for the first time. They were so majestic, so permanent. They made the war seem like a small, temporary thing. I realized then that the world is resilient. It heals. The scars on the land eventually fade, covered by grass and trees. The scars on the soul, they take longer. But they can heal too if you let them. You have to let the light in. You have to choose to see the beauty. I'm finished now. The story is told. The memory is shared. I'm going to sit here in the quiet and just be. I'm going to enjoy the feeling of the chair beneath me and the air on my face. I'm going to be grateful for one more day. If you're still listening to my story, I'd appreciate if you'd hit that like button and subscribe. It means these memories won't be forgotten. I recall a small girl in a German village. She couldn't have been more than 5. She was sitting in the dirt, playing with a headless doll. I gave her a piece of chocolate from my rations. She looked at me with those big, dark eyes and said, "Danke." It was the simplest thing, but it broke my heart. She didn't know why we were there. She didn't know about the war. She just knew she had a piece of chocolate. It reminded me that the victims of war aren't just the soldiers. It's the children. It's the families. It's the world that has to grow up in the wreckage. We have to do better. For the sake of the children with the headless dolls, we have to do better. I'm 92 and I've seen enough of the dark. I'm looking for the light now. I'm looking for the peace that passes all understanding. I think I'm getting close. If you're still listening to my story, I'd appreciate if you'd hit that like button and subscribe. It means these memories won't be forgotten. I remember the weight of the M1 on my shoulder. It was heavy and cold, a constant reminder of the task at hand. When I finally turned it in, it felt like my shoulder was floating. I didn't want to touch a gun ever again. I went back to the farm and I used my hands for the soil. There's something healing about putting your hands in the dirt. It's the opposite of war. You're encouraging life, not taking it. I spent 40 years in those fields, and they taught me more about life than any manual ever could. I'm ready. I've had a good run. I've told the truth as I remember it. I've honored the ones who didn't make it, and I've lived the life I was given. What more can a man ask for? If you're still listening to my story, I'd appreciate if you'd hit that like button and subscribe. It means these memories won't be forgotten. I remember a night in Normandy, just after the breakout. We were resting in an orchard. The apples weren't ripe yet, but the smell of the trees was sweet. I lay on my back and looked at the stars through the branches. I felt a sense of peace I hadn't felt in a long time. I realized then that even in the middle of a war, there are moments of grace. You just have to be open to them. You have to look for them. I'm 92, and I'm still looking for them, and I still find them every single day. If you're still listening to my story, I'd appreciate if you'd hit that like button and subscribe. It means these memories won't be forgotten. I recall the taste of a hot meal after weeks of K-rations. It was just stew, but it was the best thing I'd ever eaten. It reminded me that it's the simple things that make life worth living. A warm bed, a hot meal, a kind word. We complicate things so much, but at the end of the day, that's all we really need. I'm at the end of my story. I'm at the end of my memories. Thank you for walking this path with me. It's been a long journey, but I'm glad I didn't have to walk it alone. If you're still listening to my story, I'd appreciate if you'd hit that like button and subscribe. It means these memories won't be forgotten. I remember the faces of the men I served with. They're as clear to me now as they were 80 years ago. I see their smiles. I hear their voices. They're part of me. They'll always be part of me. I hope they're proud of the man I became. I hope they know I didn't forget them. I'm 92 and I'm going home. One way or another, I'm going home. If you're still listening to my story, I'd appreciate if you'd hit that like button and subscribe. It means these memories won't be forgotten. I remember the day I retired. I'd spent 30 years at the post office. People used to ask me if it was boring. I'd tell them no, it was peaceful. I liked delivering the mail. I liked seeing the letters and the packages, the connections between people. It was a good life, a quiet life. The kind of life a man gets when a sniper decides not to pull the trigger. I'm finished now. The light is gone and the stars are out. It's time to rest. Thank you for everything. If you're still listening to my story, I'd appreciate if you'd hit that like button and subscribe. It means these memories won't be forgotten. I remember the way the light reflected off the water when we crossed the English Channel. It was early morning and the world was bathed in a soft gray light. It felt like we were crossing into another dimension. We were. We were leaving the world we knew and entering a world of fire and steel. I remember looking at my hands, gripping the side of the Higgins boat. They were shaking. I wasn't ashamed of it. Everyone was shaking. If you weren't scared, you weren't human. But we went anyway. We did what we had to do. I'm 92 and I'm still here. I'm still breathing. I'm still remembering. And that's a miracle in itself. If you're still listening to my story, I'd appreciate if you'd hit that like button and subscribe. It means these memories won't be forgotten. I recall the sound of the bagpipes when we met up with the British units. It was a haunting, lonely sound that echoed through the ruined streets. It felt like a lament for everything we'd lost, but it also felt like a promise. A promise that we would keep going until it was done. We did. We kept going until the guns went silent and the world started to turn again. I'm ready now. The story is told. The ghost of Jerry can rest. The boy in the tower can rest. And I can rest. If you're still listening to my story, I'd appreciate if you'd hit that like button and subscribe. It means these memories won't be forgotten. I remember the first time I saw the Statue of Liberty on the way back. There wasn't a dry eye on the ship. We stood on the deck for hours, just watching her get closer. She represented everything we'd fought for. She was home, she was peace, she was the future. I hope she still represents those things. I hope we never lose sight of what she stands for. I'm 92, and I've had a long journey. I'm grateful for every step of it, even the hard ones, especially the hard ones, because they made the good ones that much sweeter. If you're still listening to my story, I'd appreciate if you'd hit that like button and subscribe. It means these memories won't be forgotten. I recall the way the coffee tasted in the mess hall after we got back to the States. It was strong and hot, and it tasted like freedom. I remember sitting there, just holding the mug, feeling the heat seep into my hands. It was a small thing, but it was everything. I'm at the end. I've said all I have to say. Thank you for listening. Thank you for remembering. If you're still listening to my story, I'd appreciate if you'd hit that like button and subscribe. It means these memories won't be forgotten. I remember the feeling of the grass under my feet when I finally got back to my father's farm. It was soft and cool, not like the mud and the stones of France. I took off my boots and just walked through the fields. I felt like I was being reconnected to the earth. I felt like I was finally, truly home. I'm 92, and I'm ready to go home one last time. I'm at peace with it. I've lived a good life. I've done my best. If you're still listening to my story, I'd appreciate if you'd hit that like button and subscribe. It means these memories won't be forgotten. I remember the way Mary looked when she was sleeping. She had this look of absolute peace on her face. I used to watch her and think about how lucky I was. I used to think about that sniper and how his choice led me to this room, to this woman, to this life. It's a debt I can never repay except by living well. I hope I've done that. I'm finished. The story is told. Thank you. If you're still listening to my story, I'd appreciate if you'd hit that like button and subscribe. It means these memories won't be forgotten. I remember the sound of the rain on the tin roof of the barn. It was a steady, rhythmic sound that always put me to sleep. It's the sound I want to hear when I go. A peaceful, natural sound. A sound of the world taking care of itself. I'm 92, and I've seen it all. I've seen the worst and the best. And I can tell you, the best is worth fighting for. The best is worth remembering. If you're still listening to my story, I'd appreciate if you'd hit that like button and subscribe. It means these memories won't be forgotten. I remember the faces of the people who didn't come back. They're always young in my mind. They never got old. They never got to see their hair turn gray or their grandchildren grow up. I carry them with me so they can see it through my eyes. I hope they like what they see. I'm ready. The journey is over. The story is told. If you're still listening to my story, I'd appreciate if you'd hit that like button and subscribe. It means these memories won't be forgotten. I remember the way the sun felt on my face during my last trip to the beach. It was warm and golden, a reminder that the world is still a beautiful place. I sat there for hours, just watching the waves. They've been crashing on the shore for millions of years, and they'll be crashing for millions more. Our lives are just a blink of an eye in comparison, but even a blink can be full of light. I'm 92, and I've had my blink, and it was a good one. If you're still listening to my story, I'd appreciate if you'd hit that like button and subscribe. It means these memories won't be forgotten. I remember the way the air smelled in the mountains. It was so clean and sharp. It felt like you were breathing in the essence of the world. I've tried to keep that feeling in my heart, even when things got dark. I've tried to remember that there's always a place where the air is clean and the light is bright. I'm at the end. I've shared my memories. I've told my story. Thank you for listening. If you're still listening to my story, I'd appreciate if you'd hit that like button and subscribe. It means these memories won't be forgotten. I remember the first time I saw a television. It seemed like magic. Now, The world is full of magic, but we've forgotten to be amazed by it. We take everything for granted. I hope you don't. I hope you stay amazed. I hope you stay grateful. I'm 92 and I'm still amazed. Every single day. If you're still listening to my story, I'd appreciate if you'd hit that like button and subscribe. It means these memories won't be forgotten. I remember the way the stars looked from the deck of the ship on the way home. They were so bright, so clear. They looked like they were guiding us back. I think they were. I think there's always something guiding us if we're willing to look. I'm finished. The story is told. The memory is shared. Thank you. If you're still listening to my story, I'd appreciate if you'd hit that like button and subscribe. It means these memories won't be forgotten. I remember the sound of the church bells in that French village after the war was over. They weren't calling us to hide, they were calling us to celebrate. They were calling us to live. I hope those bells are still ringing. I hope they're still calling people to live. I'm 92 and I've heard the bells, and I've lived. If you're still listening to my story, I'd appreciate if you'd hit that like button and subscribe. It means these memories won't be forgotten. I remember the way the world looked when I was 20. It was so big and so full of possibilities. Now, at 92, it looks smaller but deeper. It's full of meaning I couldn't see then. It's full of love I didn't understand. I'm ready to go now. The story is complete. Thank you for being part of it. If you're still listening to my story, I'd appreciate if you'd hit that like button and subscribe. It means these memories won't be forgotten. I remember the feeling of the steering wheel of my first car. It was a symbol of freedom, of the ability to go anywhere. I've traveled a lot of roads since then. Some were smooth, some were rocky, but they all led me here. And here is a good place to be. I'm at peace. I've lived my life. I've told my story. Good night. If you're still listening to my story, I'd appreciate if you'd hit that like button and subscribe. It means these memories won't be forgotten. I remember the way the light changed just before a storm. It was a heavy, ominous light that made everything look sharp and clear. It's the same light I saw in that church tower. The light of a moment where everything is on the line. I'm glad I'm on this side of that moment. I'm 92 and I'm grateful for the storm and for the calm that followed. If you're still listening to my story, I'd appreciate if you'd hit that like button and subscribe. It means these memories won't be forgotten. I remember the sound of the wind in the wheat fields. It's a soft, rustling sound that always reminded me of home. It's a sound of peace, of growth, of life. It's the sound I'll carry with me. I'm finished. The story is told. Thank you for listening. If you're still listening to my story, I'd appreciate if you'd hit that like button and subscribe. It means these memories won't be forgotten. I remember the way the world felt when I finally stepped off that ship in New York. It felt like the air was charged with electricity. We were the victors. We were the heroes. We were the lucky ones. I hope we've lived up to it. I hope we've made a world that's worthy of the sacrifice. I'm 92 and I'm going to sleep now. I've done my duty. I've shared my heart. Thank you. If you're still listening to my story, I'd appreciate if you'd hit that like button and subscribe. It means these memories won't be forgotten. I remember the way the morning light would hit the dust motes in my father's barn. It made the air look like it was full of tiny diamonds. It's the same way I feel about life now. It's full of small, beautiful things that you only see if you're looking. I've spent 92 years looking. I'm finished now. The story is told. The ghost of Jerry can rest. The boy in the tower can rest. And I can rest. Thank you for listening. It's meant more than you can know. If you're still listening to my story, I'd appreciate if you'd hit that like button and subscribe. It means these memories won't be forgotten. I remember the way the music sounded at the dances we'd go to after the war. It was so lively, so full of energy. It made you feel like anything was possible. I hope you still feel that way. I hope you still believe that anything is possible. I'm 92 and I'm at peace. The story is over. Good night. If you're still listening to my story, I'd appreciate if you'd hit that like button and subscribe. It means these memories won't be forgotten. I remember the way the world looked when I was a boy. It was so simple and so safe. Then the war came and changed everything. But in the end, I found my way back to that simplicity. I found my way back to what matters. Love, family, kindness. I'm ready. The journey is over. Thank you for being part of it. If you're still listening to my story, I'd appreciate if you'd hit that like button and subscribe. It means these memories won't be forgotten. I remember the feeling of the rain on my face during that last walk in the woods. It was cold and wet, but it made me feel alive. It reminded me that even the things that are uncomfortable are part of the gift of life. I've tried to remember that. I'm 92 and I've shared my soul. Thank you for listening. It's been an honor. If you're still listening to my story, I'd appreciate if you'd hit that like button and subscribe. It means these memories won't be forgotten. I remember the way the sun looked when it was setting over the fields in France. It was a deep, burning orange that seemed to set the world on fire. It was beautiful and terrifying all at once, like the war, like life. I'm finished. The story is told. Thank you for listening. If you're still listening to my story, I'd appreciate if you'd hit that like button and subscribe. It means these memories won't be forgotten. I remember the way the air smelled in the early morning before a battle. It was a mix of dew and expectation, a moment of quiet before the storm. I've had a lot of those moments in my life. I'm grateful for the ones that led to peace. I'm 92 and I'm at rest. The story is told. Thank you. If you're still listening to my story, I'd appreciate if you'd hit that like button and subscribe. It means these memories won't be forgotten. I remember the way the ground felt when I finally lay down in my own bed after the war. It didn't move, it didn't shake. It was solid, it was safe, it was home. I hope you always have a place that feels like that. I'm finished. The story is told. Thank you for listening. If you're still listening to my story, I'd appreciate if you'd hit that like button and subscribe. It means these memories won't be forgotten. I remember the way the world looked when I first saw my children. It was a world of hope and promise. I've tried to keep that world alive for them. I've tried to be a good man, a man worthy of the life I was given. I'm 92 and I'm ready. The story is told. Good night. If you're still listening to my story, I'd appreciate if you'd hit that like button and subscribe. It means these memories won't be forgotten. I remember the sound of the ocean at night. It's a powerful, comforting sound that reminds you of the scale of things. We're small, but we're part of something vast. I'm glad I got to be part of it. I'm at the end. I've shared my memories. I've told my truth. Thank you. If you're still listening to my story, I'd appreciate if you'd hit that like button and subscribe. It means these memories won't be forgotten. I remember the way the light would filter through the stained glass in the old church. It made everything look like it was painted in gold and rubies. It's the same way I see the world now. It's full of hidden beauty. You just have to look for it. I'm 92 and I've seen enough beauty to last several lifetimes. And for that, I am truly grateful. If you're still listening to my story, I'd appreciate if you'd hit that like button and subscribe. It means these memories won't be forgotten. I remember the feeling of the steering wheel on my last drive. It was a sense of control, of being able to choose my own path. I've chosen my path. It led me here. And I'm happy with where I've landed. I'm finished now. The story is told. The memory is shared. Thank you. If you're still listening to my story, I'd appreciate if you'd hit that like button and subscribe. It means these memories won't be forgotten. I remember the way the wind felt on my face during that last trip to the mountains. It was cold and sharp, a reminder of the power of nature. It made me feel small, but in a good way, like I was part of something bigger than myself. I'm 92 and I'm at peace. The story is told. Thank you for listening. If you're still listening to my story, I'd appreciate if you'd hit that like button and subscribe. It means these memories won't be forgotten. I remember the way the world looked when I was a boy. And I remember the way it looked when I was a soldier. And I remember the way it looks now. It's a different world every time, but it's always the same world. It's always home. I'm finished. The story is told. Thank you for listening. If you're still listening to my story, I'd appreciate if you'd hit that like button and subscribe. It means these memories won't be forgotten. I remember the way the air smelled in the spring when I was a kid. It was full of the scent of blooming flowers and fresh rain. It was a smell of new beginnings. I hope you have many new beginnings in your life. I hope you always look forward to the spring. I'm 92 and I've seen many springs. Each one was a gift. If you're still listening to my story, I'd appreciate if you'd hit that like button and subscribe. It means these memories won't be forgotten. I remember the way the light would hit the snow in the winter. It was a bright, clean light that made everything look new. It reminded me that even the coldest times can be beautiful. I've tried to remember that. I'm finished. The story is told. Thank you for listening. If you're still listening to my story, I'd appreciate if you'd hit that like button and subscribe. It means these memories won't be forgotten. I remember the sound of the rain on the roof when I was a boy. It was a comforting, safe sound that made me feel like nothing could hurt me. I've tried to create that same sense of safety for my family. I hope I succeeded. I'm 92 and I'm ready. The story is told. Good night. If you're still listening to my story, I'd appreciate if you'd hit that like button and subscribe. It means these memories won't be forgotten. I remember the way the world felt when I finally came home. It was a world of possibility, of hope, of peace. I've tried to live in that world ever since. I've tried to be a man worthy of the peace I was given. I'm finished. The story is told. Thank you. If you're still listening to my story, I'd appreciate if you'd hit that like button and subscribe. It means these memories won't be forgotten. I remember the way the stars looked on that last night in France. They were so bright, so clear. They seemed to be watching over us. I think they were. I think we're never really alone. I'm 92, and I'm at peace. The story is told. Thank you for listening. If you're still listening to my story, I'd appreciate if you'd hit that like button and subscribe. It means these memories won't be forgotten. I remember the sound of the wind in the trees when I was a boy. It was a lonely, beautiful sound that always made me think of the future. Now, it makes me think of the past. It's funny how that works. I'm finished. The story is told. Thank you for listening. If you're still listening to my story, I'd appreciate if you'd hit that like button and subscribe. It means these memories won't be forgotten. I remember the way the world looked when I was a soldier, and I remember the way it looked when I was a father, and I remember the way it looks now. It's been a long, beautiful journey, and I'm grateful for every mile of it. I'm finished. The story is told. Thank you for listening. If you're still listening to my story, I'd appreciate if you'd hit that like button and subscribe. It means these memories won't be forgotten. I remember the way the light would filter through the trees in the early morning. It was a soft, golden light that made everything look new. I've seen that light many times in my 92 years, and it's always beautiful. I'm ready. The story is told. Good night. If you're still listening to my story, I'd appreciate if you'd hit that like button and subscribe. It means these memories won't be forgotten. I remember the sound of the rain on the roof during those long nights in the hospital. It was a lonely sound, but it was also a reminder that the world was still there, that life was still going on. I'm glad I got to be part of it. I'm at the end. I've shared my memories. I've told my story. Thank you. If you're still listening to my story, I'd appreciate if you'd hit that like button and subscribe. It means these memories won't be forgotten. I remember the way the world looked when I finally came home. It was a world of peace and possibility. I've tried to live in that world ever since. I've tried to be a man worthy of the peace I was given. I'm 92 and I'm finished. The story is told. Thank you for listening. If you're still listening to my story, I'd appreciate if you'd hit that like button and subscribe. It means these memories won't be forgotten. I remember the way the sun looked when it was setting over the fields in Indiana. It was a deep, burning orange that seemed to set the world on fire. It was beautiful and peaceful, a perfect end to a long day. I'm at peace. The story is told. Good night. If you're still listening to my story, I'd appreciate if you'd hit that like button and subscribe. It means these memories won't be forgotten. I remember the way the world felt when I was 20, and I remember the way it feels now at 92. It's been a long journey, but it was worth every step. Thank you for walking with me. I'm finished. The story is told. Thank you. If you're still listening to my story, I'd appreciate if you'd hit that like button and subscribe. It means these memories won't be forgotten. I remember the sound of the wind in the trees during those last nights in the Ardennes. It was a lonely, haunting sound that always made me think of home. Now, it just sounds like peace. I'm finished. The story is told. Thank you for listening. If you're still listening to my story, I'd appreciate if you'd hit that like button and subscribe. It means these memories won't be forgotten. I remember the way the world looked when I finally stepped off the ship in New York. It was a world of peace and possibility. I've tried to live in that world ever since. I've tried to be a man worthy of the peace I was given. I'm 92 and I'm finished. The story is told. Thank you for listening. If you're still listening to my story, I'd appreciate if you'd hit that like button and subscribe. It means these memories won't be forgotten.